Welcome to Ask the Expert with noted radio host Steve Sleeper. Each week, Steve interviews entrepreneurs and professionals and shares their intriguing stories of success and service. Now, here's radio veteran Steve Sleeper.
And our guest today is Steve Bailey. Steve's elder law attorney in Birmingham, Alabama. Steve, how you doing?
Doing great.
Good. Hey, tell me a little bit about yourself and your firm.
Well, the elder law practice of Steve Bailey is staffed by people who have taken care of their parents and therefore understand the journey, fear, and frustration of caregivers. Our mission is to help families find, get, and pay for great senior care without going broke. Amy Robinson is our certified geriatric case manager who helps families find and then get great care. And I help families figure out how to pay for care for their loved one needs and deserves without going broke. As for myself, I'm a recovering CPA tax attorney who had an epiphany when my mother died unexpectedly, and I took care of my lovable but hopelessly demented dad for about 3 years. I quickly discovered that information and resources for caregivers are scarce, often conflicting, and sometimes just plain wrong. That is when I learned elder law, just like my dad learned to swim. He grew up in Decatur on the Tennessee River, the baby of 12 children, and one day his older brothers convinced him to swing out onto the Tennessee River on a rope and promised they'd come get him. Well, of course, you know they didn't come, and that's the day he learned to swim instead of sink. And I, just like my dad, had only two choices when my mom passed. Learn elder care and law, or sink and fail my dad when he needed me most. I was like a deer in the headlights, but quickly dived in with the mindset of a tax attorney. How can I use the Medicare, VA, and Medicaid laws to supplement my dad's Social Security so he can stay home and receive the 24/7 care he needed? While taking care of my dad, I decided that the rest of my life was going to be devoted to helping families just like mine figure out how to take care of their aging loved ones, and it's just about all I do now.
So tell me, Steve, what is elder law?
Well, you'd think life should become simpler when we reach old age, but often it seems to be just the opposite, as seniors and their families grapple with uncooperative financial institutions, a healthcare system designed for acute care instead of chronic care, and wrestle with how to pay for long-term care services, not to mention understanding critical programs like Medicare, Social Security, and veterans benefits. You see, elder law is not just one specific area of the law, but actually encompasses all the areas that we encounter as we age.
So, I think you've pretty much detailed why a person would need an elder law attorney. Is there anything else you can add to that?
Well, unfortunately, our government will take care of us if we're rich enough with tax breaks. And if we're poor enough, it will provide us with all sorts of money and services. But all of us in the middle class must fight for anything we get, and that's what an elder law attorney really does. An elder law attorney knows your rights, how the system works, and how to get from it whatever you need.
Okay, so tell me, what are the options with long-term care?
Well, Steve, the options are much more plentiful today than they were even 10 years ago. Of course, everyone's number one option is to stay in their home, and we help make this happen unless finances or ill health requires more care than we can receive from home care companies. The next level of care is assisted living, where some services like cleaning, cooking, and assistance with some of the activities of daily living are provided, and many of these places provide these services in a resort-like setting, complete with all sorts of fun trips and activities. And although we hope we never need this level of care, sometimes our medical needs are so great we must go to a nursing home where we can receive nursing services as needed.
So does Medicare cover that?
Well, many people mistakenly believe because Medicare covers their hospital and doctor costs, it will also cover their long-term care cost. Unfortunately, Medicare provides no long-term care benefit. It does provide a 20-day rehabilitation benefit after a 3-day hospitalization that looks a lot like a long-term care benefit because nursing homes may provide the rehabilitation therapy. But the truth is, there is no long-term care benefit under Medicare.
Oh, okay. So how much does long-term care cost?
Well, in a nutshell, an arm and a leg.
Yeah, yeah.
Care in our home costs about $16 to $20 per hour around Birmingham. And this may be affordable so long as we don't need a lot of help. But if we need 24/7 care, the cost is somewhere between $12,000 to $15,000 per month.
Wow.
Yeah, and assisted living facilities can start as low as $2,600 a month and can exceed $4,000 per month if very many services are required. And you can expect to pay over $4,000 a month for memory care units of assisted living facilities that care for patients with dementia. And finally, nursing homes generally cost between $6,000 to $8,000 per month. So as you can see, it's quite expensive.
Yeah. So how does the average guy or gal pay for it?
Well, Steve, there are only 3 ways to pay for long-term care. Number 1, we private pay from our income and or savings. Number 2, we pay from long-term care insurance benefits. Or 3, we pay with government benefits we obtain, such as veterans' disability pensions and Medicaid.
So what happens to our assets?
Well, I assume when you ask about assets, you're asking if what we own can prevent someone from receiving means-tested benefits like VA and Medicaid. The answer is absolutely. Both VA and Medicaid have fairly drastic asset limits, and using strategies to legally comply with these limits without spending it all on our care is what I spend a large portion of every day helping my clients figure out.
So before there's a need, I'm guessing that would be the best time to call you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Time is literally money.
Yeah.
If someone who's not planned needs long-term care, we can often save approximately half of what they spend a lifetime scrimping and saving to accumulate. But if we plan far enough ahead before the need arises, we don't have to lose anything.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Steve, this has been very helpful. So what else do we need to know?
Well, just that time is money. The earlier we start, the more we can save, and that everybody, or a great many of us, 70% of us, according to most statistics, are going to see need for some long-term care before we depart this earth. So it's something we need to plan for, just like we plan for retirement.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good point. I think a lot of us plan for retirement. I don't know that maybe a lot of us plan for long-term care. So that leads me to my next question. How can we reach you?
Well, the contact information from the firm and an awful lot of resources for caregivers can be found on our website, which is www.stevebailey.com.
And your phone number?
205-263-5060. 5060.
5060. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you practice in Alabama, right?
Absolutely. We cover the whole state.
Okay. And of course, if you're in Birmingham or the surrounding area, Steve can be a good resource for you. It's amazing. I just turned 61 not too long ago, Steve, and I'm not sure how that happened. And I think
I understand.
I think it sneaks up on us all. I don't feel like I'm 61, but it does sneak up on you. It's here before you know it. So I think it's always good to prepare for that. And like I said, if you're in Alabama, specifically the Birmingham area, give Steve Bailey a call. Steve, thanks for being our guest today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to Ask the Expert with Steve Sleeper. Join us next time as entrepreneurs and professionals share their intriguing stories of success and service.